Look down at your legs right now. Seriously, just look at them. Those two limbs supporting you aren't just getting you from point A to point B. They're actually determining how fast you're aging. And here's the crazy part. Most people have no idea that their legs are secretly aging them faster than they should be. I'm not talking about vanity or looking good in shorts. I'm talking about something way more important. Your biological age, your brain health, your independence in your 70s and 80s, and honestly, whether you're setting yourself up for a vibrant old age or a dependent one. Today, we're diving deep into the science of why weak legs don't just make you slower. They literally accelerate your aging process. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why leg strength might be the most underrated predictor of longevity. Let's get into it. So here's something that blew my mind when I first learned about it. In Japan, researchers have been following thousands of older adults for decades, and they discovered something remarkable. They found that grip strength and leg strength were better predictors of mortality than almost any other measure they looked at. Better than cholesterol levels in many cases, better than blood pressure in certain contexts. But here's where it gets interesting. Leg strength was even more predictive than grip strength. Your legs, it turns out, are like a biological crystal ball. They're telling a story about what's happening inside your body at a cellular level. This isn't about guilt. It's about understanding the science. The good news is that leg strength is largely within your control and can be improved at almost any age. So let's break down exactly what's happening when your legs get weak and why that weakness creates this cascade of aging effects throughout your entire body. All right, first things first. Let's talk about what we mean when we say weak legs and how that connects to aging. Your legs contain some of the largest muscle groups in your entire body. Your quadriceps, your hamstrings, your glutes, your calves, these are massive tissues. In fact, your legs make up roughly 50% of your total muscle mass. That's half of all your muscle concentrated in these two limbs. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Your muscles aren't just dumb tissue that moves your bones around. Muscles are actually endocrine organs. Yeah, you heard that right. They produce and release substances called myokines. These are like hormones that your muscles secrete. And these myokines have effects all throughout your body, on your brain, on your immune system, on your metabolism, on inflammation levels. So when you have weak legs, what you really have is less of this critical muscle tissue. And when you have less muscle tissue, you have less of this beneficial signaling happening throughout your body. But it goes deeper than that. Muscle mass naturally declines with age. This is called sarcopenia. Starting around age 30, you lose about 3 to 5% of your muscle mass per decade if you don't actively work against it. And after age 60, this process accelerates dramatically. Some research suggests you can lose up to 1 to 2% of your muscle mass per year after 60. Now think about this. If your legs are 50% of your muscle mass and you're losing muscle preferentially from your lower body as you age, which is exactly what happens, then weak legs aren't just a symptom of aging. They're actually accelerating multiple aging processes simultaneously. Let me give you a concrete example. There's a test called the chair stand test. It's simple. You sit in a chair and stand up 5 times as fast as you can without using your arms. Researchers have found that people who can't do this test or who do it very slowly have significantly higher rates of disability and mortality over the following years compared to people who can do it quickly. Why? Because that simple movement requires leg strength, power, balance, and coordination. It's a window into your neuromuscular system. And when that system is weak, it means multiple aging processes are already advanced. Let's talk about metabolism, because this is where weak legs really start showing their impact on aging. Your muscles are metabolically active tissue. Even at rest, muscle burns calories. But more importantly, muscle is the primary site where your body stores and uses glucose. That's blood sugar. When you have strong, healthy leg muscles, they act like a metabolic sink. They pull glucose out of your bloodstream and either use it for energy or store it as glycogen. But when your leg muscles are weak and atrophied, you've lost a huge portion of that metabolic capacity. Your body's ability to handle glucose effectively is compromised, and this is where things start to cascade. In people with type 2 diabetes, higher muscle mass is linked to longer life, regardless of body fat. This tells us something profound. Muscle, particularly leg muscle, is protective. It's not just about looking fit. It's about having this metabolic buffer that helps your body handle the challenges of aging. And there's another metabolic aspect that people don't talk about enough: mitochondrial function. Your mitochondria are the powerhouses of your cells. They produce energy. As you age, mitochondrial function declines. Your mitochondria become less efficient, they produce more oxidative stress, and there are fewer of them. But exercise, particularly resistance training that builds leg strength, is one of the most powerful stimulators of mitochondrial biogenesis. That's the creation of new mitochondria. Think about it this way. Weak legs mean fewer mitochondria, less efficient energy production, more oxidative stress, and accelerated cellular aging. It's all connected. Studies show that greater leg power is linked to better cognition in older adults. A long-term twin study found that the twin with stronger legs maintained better brain function, even with genetics controlled. Why would this be? Well, there are several mechanisms at play. First, remember those myokines we talked about? Some of them, like brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, directly promote brain health. BDNF is like fertilizer for your brain neurons. It helps them grow, survive, and form new connections. Exercise that engages your large leg muscles is one of the best ways to increase BDNF production. Second, strong legs mean you're more likely to be physically active, and physical activity increases blood flow to the brain. Your brain is an incredibly energy-hungry organ, using about 20% of your body's total oxygen, despite being only 2% of your body weight. Better cardiovascular fitness means better blood flow means better oxygen and nutrient delivery to brain tissue. Third, there's emerging research on the connection between muscle contractions and cerebrospinal fluid flow. When your leg muscles contract, particularly the large muscles in your thighs and hips, this creates pressure changes that may help pump cerebrospinal fluid through your brain. This fluid is critical for clearing metabolic waste from brain tissue. Weak legs mean less movement, less muscle contraction, potentially less effective clearance of waste products from the brain. People with stronger legs in midlife tend to have less brain atrophy and fewer white matter lesions later, lowering the risk of cognitive decline and dementia. Weak legs don't just speed up physical aging, they also accelerate brain aging, affecting cognitive health. Falls are the leading cause of injury-related death in adults over 65 and can have serious consequences. That's why protecting your independence as you age is so important. And here's the kicker. After a hip fracture, many older adults never return to their previous level of function. Their independence is permanently compromised. What does this have to do with weak legs? Everything. Falls happen for multiple reasons, but weak legs are a major contributor. Balance depends on strength. When you start to lose stability, your muscles must react quickly. If they are too weak or slow, you fall. As leg muscles weaken, walking patterns change. Steps get shorter, speed slows, and feet lift less. These changes increase the risk of falling. Weak legs make everyday tasks harder. Standing up, climbing stairs, getting in and out of a car, carrying groceries, and even walking short distances all require leg strength. As legs weaken, people avoid activity. This leads to more muscle loss, even weaker legs, and a vicious cycle of decline. Loss of independence often starts small. Avoiding stairs or walking leads to less movement and growing weakness. Then it becomes hard to get up from low chairs, so you start needing higher seats and grab bars. Each adaptation feels necessary in the moment, but collectively they represent a progressive loss of function. And here's what's really important to understand. This loss of independence doesn't just affect your physical life. It affects your mental health, your social connections, your sense of purpose. Research consistently shows that loss of independence is associated with depression, social isolation, and decreased quality of life. Weak legs speed up the loss of independence, while strong legs help you stay active, travel, enjoy hobbies, and fully participate in life. Let's talk about inflammation because this is another critical piece of the weak legs and aging puzzle. You've probably heard the term inflammaging. It's this idea that chronic low-grade inflammation increases as we age and contributes to multiple age-related diseases. This inflammation is different from the acute inflammation you get when you sprain your ankle. That's helpful inflammation that promotes healing. Inflammaging is this persistent systemic inflammation that damages tissues over time. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Muscle tissue, particularly when it's being used regularly, produces anti-inflammatory signals. Those myokines we keep talking about include several with anti-inflammatory properties. Active, strong muscles are constantly releasing these substances that help keep inflammation in check. But when you have weak, inactive muscles, you lose that anti-inflammatory signaling. Plus, weak muscles are often accompanied by increased fat tissue, particularly visceral fat. So the combination of less muscle and more fat creates this perfect storm of increased systemic inflammation. And this inflammation accelerates virtually every aging process. It increases cardiovascular disease risk. It promotes insulin resistance. It contributes to neurodegeneration. It increases cancer risk. It weakens the immune system. Higher muscle mass is linked to lower inflammation markers like CRP and IL-6, which are associated with many age-related diseases. Think about it this way. Strong legs mean you're regularly engaging large amounts of muscle tissue. Every time you use those muscles, they're producing anti-inflammatory signals. You're essentially giving yourself natural anti-inflammatory medicine every time you move. Weak legs mean you're missing out on that protective effect. And there's another aspect to this. Physical activity that maintains leg strength also affects your gut microbiome. Your gut bacteria produce various metabolites that influence inflammation throughout your body. Exercise has been shown to promote a healthier, more diverse gut microbiome. Sedentary behavior and muscle weakness are associated with less healthy gut profiles and more inflammation. Weak legs reduce anti-inflammatory muscle signals, increase fat and inflammation, and speed up multiple aging processes. Let's talk hormones, because this is another way that weak legs accelerate aging. As we age, various hormones decline. Growth hormone, testosterone even in women, IGF-1 or insulin-like growth factor, these anabolic hormones that help build and maintain muscle naturally decrease with age. This is part of why muscle loss accelerates as we get older. Hormones and muscle affect each other. Lower hormones cause muscle loss, and muscle loss further lowers hormones, creating another vicious cycle. Strength training that challenges your legs boosts anabolic hormones like growth hormone and testosterone, even in older adults, and helps maintain healthier levels over time. But weak legs typically mean you're not doing the kind of exercise that provides this hormonal stimulus. You're missing out on one of the natural ways to counteract age-related hormonal decline. There's also the issue of cortisol, that's your stress hormone. Chronic elevation of cortisol is catabolic, meaning it breaks down muscle tissue. It also promotes fat storage, particularly visceral fat. Physical frailty and weakness are associated with dysregulated cortisol patterns. Building and maintaining leg strength helps normalize cortisol regulation. And let's not forget about hormones related to appetite and metabolism. Muscle tissue influences leptin and adiponectin, hormones involved in appetite regulation and metabolic health. Healthy muscle mass supports proper hormone signaling, while too little muscle can lead to weight gain and metabolic problems. Weak legs reduce beneficial hormone stimulation and disrupt stress and metabolic hormones, creating a hormonal environment that speeds up aging. Let's look at what the actual research says about leg strength and longevity, because the data here is pretty compelling. There's a simple test called the sit-to-stand test that I mentioned earlier. Numerous studies have used variations of this test to predict mortality. Not being able to stand up from a chair without using your arms is linked to much higher mortality risk, more than double in some studies. There's also research on walking speed. Walking speed is sometimes called the sixth vital sign because it's such a powerful predictor of health outcomes. And walking speed is heavily dependent on leg strength. Slower walking speed is linked to higher risk of death, hospitalization, and disability, with even small decreases increasing risk. Then there's grip strength, which often gets more attention than leg strength. But research comparing grip strength and leg strength has found that leg strength is often a better predictor of mortality, particularly in older adults. Your legs are more directly related to your mobility and independence, which makes sense that they'd be more predictive. There's a fascinating study from Brazil that followed over 2,000 adults for several years. The sitting rising test, which measures how easily someone can sit and stand without support, strongly predicts mortality. Those who need more help have much higher risk. Why? Because this test requires leg strength, yes, but also flexibility, balance, and coordination. It's a window into overall physical capability. And physical capability is intrinsically linked to biological aging. There's also research specifically on leg power, that's strength times speed. Studies have shown that leg power declines faster than leg strength with age and may be even more important for functional outcomes. Research from Boston University found that leg power was a stronger predictor of mortality risk than leg strength alone in older adults. What all of this research is telling us is that your legs are a biomarker of your aging process. Strong legs reflect healthy function across many body systems, while weak legs signal overall decline.